Karoline Leavitt is playing the piano after being challenged by a liberal musician, stunning everyone in the room. Ethan Reynolds had issued the challenge as a joke, a bit of public humiliation wrapped in politeness. As an acclaimed pianist and a vocal liberal, he had made a career out of weaving politics into his music, often poking fun at conservatives. So, when he saw Karoline Leavitt, the young, confident White House press secretary, sitting among the guests at the Liberty Arts Gala, he couldn't resist. With a smirk, he had invited her on stage, expecting her to fumble through a few notes, proving his long-held belief that conservatives lacked appreciation for the arts. But now, as her fingers flew across the grand piano, effortlessly commanding one of Liszt's most complex compositions, the smirk had vanished from his face. Hours earlier, the gala night. The Liberty Arts Gala was one of Washington's most prestigious evenings, where politicians and artists mingled under the glow of crystal chandeliers. The grand ballroom was alive with conversation, laughter, and the soft hum of a string quartet playing in the background. Ethan, dressed in a sleek black tuxedo, relished the attention as he spoke to fellow artists. His latest interview, where he had criticized the government's supposed neglect of the arts, had stirred controversy, but that was exactly what he wanted. Then, his gaze landed on Karoline Leavitt. Poised and elegant in a tailored pink blazer and white blouse, she carried herself with the same confidence she displayed in press briefings. At just 27, she had already made history, and whether people loved or hated her politics, no one could deny her influence. Ethan saw an opportunity. When he took the stage for his performance, he played a mesmerizing piece, drawing the audience into his world. But midway through, he paused, letting the silence settle before speaking into the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said smoothly, his voice laced with amusement, "we have among us tonight Karoline Leavitt, a woman of words and policies. But I wonder, can she handle music?" A few chuckles rippled through the crowd. He turned to her directly. "Ms. Leavitt, care to join me? Let's see if the art of music is as strong as the art of a press conference." It was a challenge, one he expected her to decline. But instead, Karoline stood gracefully, her expression composed, and began making her way to the stage. The audience stirred. Ethan blinked, slightly taken aback. He had anticipated a flustered refusal, not acceptance. She sat beside him at the piano bench, smoothing the fabric of her blazer. "Shall I start with chopsticks?" she teased, matching his smirk. The crowd laughed, but Ethan leaned in, raising an eyebrow. "How about something more challenging?" Karoline's response was immediate. Liszt's Hungarian Rhapsody No. 2. The moment that changed everything. As soon as she began to play, the energy in the ballroom shifted. The first notes rang out with precision and power, instantly silencing any lingering amusement from the audience. Ethan froze. Her hands moved with practiced ease, commanding the instrument with a grace that could only come from years of dedicated study. The difficult runs, the lightning-fast arpeggios, she nailed them all effortlessly. The audience, expecting a light-hearted joke, now sat stunned. Ethan had no choice but to join in. His fingers met the keys, determined to keep up, but Karoline was leading the piece. Every time he thought she would slip, she executed the next passage flawlessly, pushing the tempo, her confidence unwavering. By the time the final note echoed through the ballroom, the entire room was on its feet. Thunderous applause filled the air. Ethan turned to her, still catching his breath. "How?" he asked, genuinely speechless. Karoline smiled, tucking a loose strand of blonde hair behind her ear. "I studied classical piano for 10 years, she said casually. "Guess we do appreciate the arts after all." The remark was light-hearted, but the message was clear. The assumptions, the mockery, it had all backfired. Ethan chuckled, shaking his head. "You know," he admitted, "I came up here thinking I'd prove a point about conservatives and the arts. Turns out, you proved something about me instead." She extended a hand. "Music should never be political, Ethan. It's meant to bring people together." He shook her hand, a newfound respect in his eyes. As the applause continued, Ethan knew this moment would stay with him forever. In trying to mock her, He had only humbled himself. And perhaps, for the first time in his career, he had learned to truly listen.